Good morning to anyone who's going to be watching live. I'm not really doing this so much for the live, I'm just doing this for the video recording afterwards. But I'm still in Facebook jail. I was in Facebook jail for the whole month of November. I got out at the end. I did 30 days. And then I got put right back in maybe a few weeks later. And now I'm doing another 30 days, so I can't post any videos, I can't send messages, reply to messages, I can't like any comments, can't do anything, so I'm using my YouTube channel as a way to speak. I just want to speak about what the Matrix actually is. I know there's plenty of videos out there, and there's so many people giving explanations and giving video demonstrations and videos about what the Matrix, and not just what the Matrix, but what everything in general is. And it's why I've put off making a video or a YouTube channel for so long, because I feel like so many people are doing it. But I've had so many people asking me to make one that I finally just gave in. And I guess now it's a good time because like I said, I'm in Facebook jail, so. But basically, I just want to give my own unique perception of what the Matrix is. And as I said, I know everyone has their own unique understanding or what they think it is. And I'm not, trying to challenge anyone's view, just maybe give an alternate understanding of it. But there are two definitions of the word matrix, and this is something I want people to understand that hear me speak, because as people know, I have a group of mine. It's basically what I wanted to do was basically create an occult group, maybe not an occult group, but it's like a group maybe like the Freemasons, but it's not with an agenda, it's not members, it's not anything like that. It's just basically a doctrine or a teaching, basically helping people learn what the Freemasons and these top secret societies are trying to hide from the mass of people. So I called it the Order of the Black Wheel Matrix. And what it teaches is the true functions, the true understandings, and the true dynamics of what the Matrix is. Through proper metaphysics, through matching spirituality with science and bringing the two together, I feel that this is correct, and that the universe we've been taught with the golden yellow central sun is backwards. They've put the structure or space outside instead of inside, where it's always been kept. Space and the source and the void has always been inside. But what's happened, see, the point in all things, but the point has been flipped outside to where it's outside of us, and now space is infinite. There is no source to creation. But if you look in every single place, there's always a source to creation. And it's evident through everything. And that's what the Matrix is, and this is what I'm going to talk about. There's two definitions of the Matrix. And the first definition is the definition that everybody knows. It's the one everyone's more familiar with, the more popular term of the Matrix. And it's a mold in which something is cast or shaped as. So some people say we need to escape the Matrix, we need to escape the mold, we need to escape the programming we've been subjected to with media or, social media or anything, politics. But it's a mold in which something is cast or shaped as. So we're trying to escape the Matrix. We're trying to escape this box that, or think outside the box. We're trying to escape this box that we've been cast into, we've been taught into. And that's one definition of the Matrix, as I've said. But the real definition of it, and to me, this is the real meaning of the Matrix, is it's an environment or material in which something develops, or a surrounding medium or structure. And that's what a matrix is. It's an environment or material in which something develops, which is also, as many historians and ancient cultures have said, it's the void in space, the center point. And this is how Tesla controlled the ether. This is how Tesla created artificial lightning storms, thunderstorms. He channeled the ether by polarizing it, by realizing the point. And when Eric Dollard says this as well, Eric Dollard's basically like the Tesla we have alive today. Genius. And even he says that the sun we have, the yellow sun, is nothing but a hologram. It's not burning anything. It's not nuclear fusion. It's not burning anything at all. It's literally just a lens. So even Eric Dollard, the most genius mind behind electrical engineering today, acknowledges that the sun is 100% hollow. And he doesn't go on to say anything else is hollow, but he says he knows the sun's 100% hollow. And this goes right along with what I teach here, with what I believe. Everything is hollow. It's not just the sun. The earth, the universe, everything is hollow. Everything is a projection from the central point. And this is something I want people to try and grasp for a second. No one is traveling outside of their bodies. No one has been places outside of this central point. It's all a projection. So you can imagine behind your eyes, the pineal gland is this point right here. Is the cosmos right here? Is the cosmos in central space right here? Where we see the planets and the stars inside? This is what's behind your very eyes, the void. It's sitting behind our eyes, and we're not traveling anywhere but beyond this point. It's all a projection beyond these two eyes right here. And I want people to try and open their minds to topics like these, because it's crazy that people like me are ridiculed as crazy, and we're eliminating these type of topics totally out of discussion when nobody can justify or explain why anything is in existence at all. That fact alone should have us open to analyze anything at all, because you can't ever call anything real. You don't know that this is reality. You're giving a defining definition to something you cannot explain. What's reality and what's death? What is the difference between the two? You wouldn't know the difference, because you're born given these two stages of what you know, beginning and end, a defining title of reality or real and death, creation and destruction. But you could swap the two. You could say that birthing is death, and the ending was birthing. You wouldn't know the difference between the two. You really wouldn't. It's what you're taught. It's all a matter of perspective, how you see it. But the truth is, in duality, you could switch the two either way, and it would still work out just fine. Because it's an illusion. It's a projected illusion. The two are non-existent, because all it is the one. All it is the central point. And I feel many people like me are crazy today, just as Tesla was crazy in his time. And today, he's being known as a genius. People are starting to wake up to anti-relativity and acknowledging the fact that Einstein was wrong. We haven't built any technology behind Einstein's work. This is something people don't want to acknowledge. Yes, he was a brilliant mathematician, but we have not built anything behind his designs, behind his work. And with all due respect, this is rumor, but from what I've read, Einstein has taken a lot of his work from other people. That's not something I get into because I can't prove it, but from what I've read, there are many people who have done the research and have found that's so. Tesla had patents. Tesla channeled the ether. He didn't just talk, he created technology. He gave us our 21st century. Everything we know today is through Tesla. And not just Tesla, James Clerk Maxwell, Heaviside, Charles Proteus Steinmetz. These are people we never hear about. Michael Faraday. These are people who gave us our electrical engineering, not Einstein. And they did it through the ether, through acknowledging the ether. And that's where this comes into play. It's an electric universe. The magnetic field and electric field are two things. They're a playing of each other. It's the duality. The moving of the magnetic field generates an electric field. That's alternating current. That's Tesla's induction motor. Or oscillating motor. But that's what this is right here. The order of the black wheel matrix is what we're living inside of. It's an organized structure, just as I said. The definition behind the matrix is an environment or material in which something develops a surrounding medium or structure. So this is your black wheel matrix. There's your central point, and this is the black wheel matrix where everything is in perfect order. We see the same constellations every night. Yes, they shift and yes, they move, but we see the same constellations every night. Everything is in perfect synchrony around a wheel principle, a wheel dynamic. And this is something that I'm going to talk about too, cymatics. People don't understand how fundamental cymatics are. When you understand the Hindu word O-M, when you understand that, you understand the fact that they say the one who understands knows God. And it's not that you're knowing God as a being in the sky or anything outside yourself, but you're knowing that everything was started from one thing, from one point, one sound, one noise, one thing. Nothing is separate from this one. There is no separate ego, no separate spirit, no separate being at all. Everything is a part of this one sound, this one projection, this one point. And this is what I'm going to talk about, cymatics. Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of frequency, energy, and vibration, or energy, frequency, and vibration, however he worded it. That was fundamental. Because if everything began from a frequency, which is a sound, which is a vibration, which is a noise, yeah, look up cymatics, and what you'll find is that cymatics create perfect geometric shapes. And what they mostly form are perfect spheres. That's what the stars are. Sonoluminescence, most people are familiar with this term by now. It's very popular. 5 years ago, nobody knew what sonoluminescence is, but people are starting to wake up to these things, and it's great. It's great because we're starting to acknowledge creation. The source is becoming unveiled. And that's what happens throughout time. The truth is always unveiled. And that's why I said I'm crazy today. I'm not listened to today. But I guarantee maybe years down the road, people will come back to this. People will see that this was already talked about. That the golden sun, that this is the solar system that they've taught us in school. And all you can see that they've done is they've flipped it. Everything that we see, they flipped backwards. So space is infinite and the source is gone from the center. It's not center, the sun is here. And so you feel lost being this dot here and an infinite amount of this. And this right here is an actual photograph from NASA. I took this from nasa.gov. This is a picture of the entire solar system. And these are all galaxies. But what you'll find is, what shape is this right here? It's a wheel, a circle, a wheel with a central void in the center, a center void. Because you see that little center void right there. And what does that look like? That looks like the human eye. It looks like this, and it looks like this. Your human eye, one point, illuminating out. And what's so genius about this right here, okay, is this model works with this model. That's where they're so genius. You could take this model and flip it to work this way, and you could flip this model and flip it to work that way. So the people who understand heliocentric model, the heliocentric model, heliocentrism, however you want to call it, this model, I hear this all the time, in fact. The people who understand this tell me, oh, well, the model you teach is just this model inside out. And I say, no, the model you know is this model inside out, backwards. This model isn't this one inside out. This model is this one turned inside out. And this is what I'm talking about. To have any creation at all, you need a source. You need a point. It's the same thing with writing on a paper with a pen. You begin putting that pen on that paper with a point. Excuse me. And from that point, you can create. You're expanding out from that point to create shape, dimension, whatever. The point is all is beginning from the point. Everything demonstrates that. That's the point beyond this. Everything shows a point. This is how we hear. This is how we hear. Everything goes into a point, into a central point. And if you can see up there, that's what this is showing as well. From micro to macro, everything's showing a point. Tesla, the point. A spider web. This can be thought of as the falling of man and the ascending of Jacob's ladder from the point. Cast out from the point into the source, or into creation. The matrix. This is the matrix, the surrounding structure from the void. We fell, this was the falling of man. We fell from the point, meaning we were cast out into matter, into physical shape. And so we were cast out into the structure, into the matrix. Because as I said, the matrix, there's two definitions. It's a mold in which something is cast or shaped as, which is society. You want to fit in. And then it's an environment or material in which something develops. A surrounding medium or structure. This is your structure. And this is what NASA is getting rid of. To have a structure, you must have a source. And the source is never hidden. The source is apparent in all things. If the source is apparent in creation to the microcosm, the source should be revealing itself in the macrocosmic aspect as well. And it is, however, we're not seeing it because, again, we're being taught backwards. We're being taught with this, the solar system. It's luring your soul away from the source. Solar system. Luring the soul far out away from source. And so when you picture this, which you're this right here, you're just a little dot out of all of this infiniteness. And remember, they say space is infinite, yet they're giving us a definite shape of a circle, of a wheel. Which means space, they're saying it has an end. It has a definite shape, which is a wheel. Because remember, this is from nasa.gov. And what we don't realize is space cannot be infinite. It can't be. There has to be an end. There has to be an enclosure to a structure. And some people will say, well, no, space is infinite. But it's not infinite because you don't have things floating around in space, in empty space, as they say. As I've said before, it's like taking something like a pen and saying, this is like a solar system. It's going to fly around in space, but in empty space, without an enclosed system, it's going to fall. The enclosed system is what creates pressure. Atmospheric pressure. Constant pressure. As long as it stays sealed, just like a jar, as long as it stays sealed, it will have that pressure. But when you open it, you'll hear the tin pop. Because you're breaking the seal. You're breaking the pressure. But in any creation, you're going to have a structure, an outside structure, a wall, to hold in space. You can't have empty space with holding in things. Just like Alan Watts says, it's like trying to hammer a nail into air. The nail's going to fall. It's not going to work, obviously. You need something around the space to hold it. And again, what creates that hold in space? Well, pressure. There has to be a confined end to things to hold it together. There has to be. And as I said, it's apparent. The eye revealing itself. The body from the belly button, from the point, stretched out, fits into a perfect circle, a wheel. So again, if the code to creation is apparent in the micro, it's apparent in the macro. It's a matter of whether we choose to acknowledge this or not. But what we say is God, or the truth, or whatever, will always make itself known, will always be presented, will always be put forth to the people when they're ready. And it's not as if that it's not there. We're not acknowledging. We're being made to forget. We're being led far out from truth. But I'm kind of getting off topic. I wanted to talk about the Matrix more, the reference to the Matrix movies, so I'm going to get into that real quick. I apologize for that. It took me 20 minutes to realize that. I'm so sorry. Start rambling on and stuff. But I'm going to start getting into the Matrix movies, and I'll stay on topic with that. I want to reference this and explain what it is, and explain that you are the Matrix. And that's the realization of Neo. What we're doing when we watch the Matrix trilogies, what you're supposed to be doing, I should say, is the realization behind the Matrix trilogies is the fact that we're all uniquely Neo. We're all Neo watching the Matrix, basically, in the trilogy. We're all Neo, the character who is aware in the beginning that something is wrong with the world and something is off, and he knows something greater than himself, but he can't put into words what it is. And so he's seeking something greater than himself. And that's where Morpheus comes in, where in our lives it would be DMT. We'd seek DMT, or we'd seek a guru or a teacher, somebody to help us, which is what Morpheus is. Morpheus is nothing but a guru. He's helping Neo find the light within himself, his true self. And that's why he starts off as Mr. Anderson. He's just Mr. Anderson, just a guy, just a worker, and he becomes Neo, the chosen one, through realization. But first you have to accept the taking of the red pill, DMT, or accepting that you're not the person you thought you were. You have to strip back the veil and peel back the mask and realize this isn't who you are. And when you're ready, you will. You'll seek it, or you'll do it yourself. You'll do the work yourself. Either way will lead you there. But he's led to Morpheus, and Morpheus gives him the choice of the blue pill and the red pill. The blue pill, he'll wake up in his bed and be just Mr. Anderson. He'll know the Matrix, which, as I said, is this definition, a mold in which something is cast or shaped as. So he will go back to Mr. Anderson, the worker, the molding worker, that's all he knew was work and being Mr. Anderson. Or he could take the red pill and see into the Matrix beyond his character, beyond his veil, and actually see what was happening beyond what was apparent to the eye in society. And so he chose liberation. He chose to be set free from the Matrix, from that mold. He wanted to see into the truth. And this reference of the pill, I like to refer to as DMT, because it's the point of no return. Once you take, just like Terence McKenna says, once you take this and go into Wonderland, you become a part of Wonderland. You never go back. So it's very crucial, and that's why he says, if you take this, you don't go back to not knowing. You can't forget. Once you take it, it's too late. You don't go back. It's the point of no return. And this is why this has been called the forbidden knowledge, is the dark knowledge of God. I'm even finding that in Greek studies, demons used to be people of high divine power that had knowledge that were forbidden for humans, beings. And what they mean by human beings is the Mr. Andersons, the regular people living in the minds of just the bodies, just the characters, just the mold that they're supposed to fit, the mask. This is what they mean in the Bible by human beings. When they're saying humans and a higher being, the higher being is the realization of yourself. There is nothing outside the universe that's alternating or dictating reality. There is not a battle of angels and demons outside. It's inside the mind. And as I said, this may not be focused on or popularized today. I may not be listened to today, but I feel like this will be heard maybe years later. This will start to open up to people and masses more as we progress through the years, because it's already becoming apparent that the Bible is more metaphoric than most people thought originally, and it's a lot of secrets that were hidden are becoming just put right in front of the people now. And like me, with Freemasonry, a lot of people are asking me why I got the all-seeing eye tattooed on me, and I used to think Freemasonry was a bad thing. Their agenda is evil, so through their intentions of harming people, of wanting a agenda of one world government, that is evil, but their symbols are not evil. This is something we need to acknowledge. Symbols and logos are not evil. They are the answers that they are mocking us with. So the all-seeing eye is this central point. It's representing one point, illuminating out for creation. And this represents creation and destruction, the infinite loop of creation and destruction, reincarnation. Because all is one point. And that one point creates the duality of two. And as I said, you can flip the two backwards, frontwards, it doesn't matter, they still work. If you put good as bad and bad as good, it would still work. If you put hot as cold and cold as hot, it would still work. These are just defining terms that are allowing us to understand what the differentiations of hot and cold. But if we flip the two backwards and vice versa them, they would still be the same thing. No difference. If we thought cold was really hot and hot was really cold, it would still be the same thing. We would know there was a difference between the two. It wouldn't matter which one was which. And it's the same with all things throughout duality. The micro to the macro, if you flip the two, it still doesn't matter. The two are still one. The good and the bad, the yin and the yang, the dark and the light, the two are still one. And so that's my point behind Neo and Mr. Smith. That's the good principle and the bad principle, the yin and the yang. And in the end, it's funny, I've told so many people this my take on the Matrix in person. And when I'm done saying it to them, they're like, wow, I've got to go back and watch that. I've never thought of it like that. That's crazy. You just blew my mind. Oh my God. And so I feel I have a good understanding of what I believe they're trying to say. Because as I said, there's many perceptions. There's always going to be perceptions and differentiations on the stories of what people are taking in. But my take on the Matrix was he's realizing at the very end that he is both Mr. Smith and Neo. And so he gets back up when Mr. Smith thinks he's dead and he thinks he's won. And he's like appalled. He's scared as hell. He's saying, why are you still fighting? And Neo says, because I choose to. And he's realizing in that moment that he is the whole Matrix system. By choosing, by choice alone, choice is the most powerful phenomenon in the universe. Conscious choice, when you're consciously aware of your choices, you are manifesting. You are a manifester. Because you're consciously aware of what you're doing. You're aware that by choosing, you are shaping your very reality. We neglect the power of choice. If I choose to leave out of this side of the building instead of this side, let's just say something crazy. If I were to leave out of this side of the building, let's say I got hit by a drunk driver, but if I would have just left out of this side of the building, I would have survived. I wouldn't have gotten hit by a car. But the power of choice, simple choice, is dictating and shaping your entire reality. Nobody thinks of it in that deep of a term. But if I choose to pick up this pen, there is a consequence to me doing that. Whatever it may be, however small it may be. Conscious choice is the most powerful phenomenon in the universe. Because it is literally the universe deciding. The universe being created. The universe coming to life and like I said, being created. It's like a coloring book. The universe has no meaning. People ask me all the time, what's the meaning of life? It has no meaning. It's an empty color book. We paint the picture. We give it meaning. We bring it meaning. We're painting this coloring book. We create it. We choose to do things. We are shaping it. We can choose to dwell, which is hell, or we can choose to live, liberation, and be free and happy, heaven. It's a choice, but some aren't consciously aware of the power behind choice. We neglect the power behind choice, and we discredit ourselves as to how much power we actually have behind choice. And so that's why it's so easy for when things get bad for us, we sit back and we say, well, this isn't fair. And we look up in the sky and we say, come on, God, give me a break. I'm going through enough. This is crap, and we get frustrated because with the universe, because we're not understanding we are the universe. You are the matrix. You don't get frustrated at the universe because you're getting frustrated at yourself. You are the entirety, only ever so cleverly veiled inside of a body. You are the center point. And Alan Watts even says this, just as you can't, a knife can't cut itself, a blade can't cut itself, you need the skin to cut the blade to cut. And so you are the central point. That's why you can't see your own face. You are this being of God coming to life. You can't see your own self. And that's why it's so clever. The last place you would think to look is within your own self because you feel you have an understanding of it. The last place you would think to look is inside. That's what makes it so genius. And that's what the Hindus say. If God were to choose to hide, it would pick man to hide in because it's the last place man would think to look. And that's the point. It's behind your eyes. It's right here behind your eyes. That's why you can't see your own face. You're it. Everything beyond your two eyes that you're looking at is you coming to life. It's you coming to life. And so at the end, Neo chooses. He says, I choose to keep fighting. And so he gets back up and he starts effortlessly fighting and dodging Mr. Smith's attacks and all this crap. And he eventually lets Mr. Smith take him over. Because he's finally come to the realization that he cannot fight the Matrix because he is the Matrix. He is the entire Matrix. He is the good and the bad. And by you fighting Mr. Smith, you're fighting yourself. And so at the end, he lets Mr. Smith stick his hand in him, and the black stuff comes out and takes over his body, and Neo becomes Mr. Smith. Because he stops fighting the Matrix. He finally accepts that he isn't Mr. Smith. He isn't just Neo. He is everything in existence. He is the whole. And so once he allows Mr. Smith to take him over, he chooses to explode, to destroy him, to get rid of Mr. Smith, because he is aware that he is Mr. Smith, and he has the choice to get rid of the bad, the negative, to stop dwelling in the bad if he chooses to. And another thing, in the last scene, it's pouring rain. It's pouring down rain, and Mr. Smith says to Neo, do you like what I've done with the place? Because he edited the Matrix, and instead of it being sunny, he made it rain. So it was raining and raining and raining and raining for years. It was dark and rainy, and he asked them, do you like what I've done with the place? And so it's pouring down rain on them in this scene. And once he takes him over, and Neo explodes Mr. Smith and destroys him, at the end you see the Oracle sitting on the bench, looking up, and she's talking to this little girl. And the little girl says something about Neo. I don't remember the exact quote, so please forgive me on that part. But she says something referring to Neo as if, is he still alive? And she's looking right up at the sun, and she's saying, yes, he's still alive. He's up there. Yes, he's here. He's alive. Basically, she's acknowledging he's here. Neo is still here. And she's looking right at the sun. And that's what people don't understand. It was pouring down rain because Mr. Smith was in existence, the dark principle, the bad. And so by Neo choosing to accept that he was everything, the good and the bad, he no longer fought against himself. He let it take him over to destroy it, because he could get rid of the bad if he wanted to, if he chose to, because he was. And so he edited the Matrix again and got rid of the rain and turned it to sunshine, to the sun. And so Neo turned into energy to the sun. He destroyed the dark principle and let the light principle shine. But he realized he was the Matrix, so he altered the Matrix and became the Matrix by realizing he was the Matrix. So Neo at the end, he didn't die, he became the Matrix, the universe, the structure allowing everything to exist, because that's what we are. We are the energy behind the structure allowing us to exist. Why anything exists at all is the most peculiar question no one can ever answer. And so when you ask why anything exists at all, no one can answer that. And that's why I say this should not be called reality. And so many people will call me crazy for saying that. But if you cannot tell me why we exist and why anything is here at all, how strange it is just to be alive here, then you don't have an answer. You can't tell me this is reality just because you were born told that this is real. What even convinced you that you're a human being? That is, again, a title word, a defining word to give you a definition to allow you to confuse yourself to think you understand something. So by you giving something a defining word, a title, you're creating this illusion for yourself that you understand it. Since I've given this pen the name pen, I understand what it is. Since I give things definitions, I call this a tree, I know what it is. You don't know what a tree is. You don't know the functions inside of that tree. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what it's thinking. You don't know what anything. And yes, I said thinking. Everything is alive. Everything's beating. Everything's dancing at a beautiful frequency. But my point is by defining things, that gives us no actual understanding, or should I say understanding, of what it actually is. So you can sit here and say we're alive, we're real, this is real, I'm a human being, but what are all these things you're saying? You cannot prove to me that you're a human being just because a scientist came up with the word human being and decided that's what they would call us. You cannot prove to me that's what we are just because someone gave us that definition. You cannot prove to me that this is reality because another human being gave us this definition. Just as you cannot prove to me death is what's waiting for me at the end. Who tricked anyone into thinking that was the end at all? Who tricked anyone into thinking there was a beginning or an end? Into thinking this was a real or fake thing? A real or birth and death, a beginning and end. Who tricked anyone into that illusion of thinking that this is all there is, a linear scale, beginning and end? As I said, you can't prove to me you're alive, or you can't prove to me if you're dead. You can't. Again, our understanding is, okay, I'm an idiot for saying that because if someone's dead, their heart's not beating, their eyes are closed, they can't, come back to life, they're dead. You're dumbass for saying that. Well, no. Again, you're giving that person, by not being in existence, a defining word of dead. But what is dead? Prove to me he is dead. What does the word dead means? Or mean? Every word we're using originates from one person deciding this is what I'm going to call this phenomenon. You see, so everything we know is simply a person giving a defining word and allowing us to feel we understand it in a more in-depth way. And this is not the case. We're confusing ourselves. Definitions are not giving us understanding. And so this is why I've said I'm going to totally abandon the word reality and real for now on, because it's an illusion. And the word Maya, the Mayans, the word Maya means illusion. And that's a part of the Hindu teaching. When you wake up to the Maya, when you awaken to the Maya, the illusion, you become the Buddha. Or that's in Zen, I should say. But still popular in Hinduism. You awaken, they have a different name for it, but when you awaken from that dream, I believe it's called the Brahman, the highest Godhead, but when you awaken from the Maya, the illusion, the dream, you become the Buddha, the highest Godhead, whatever. You become aware of who you really are, of the whole illusion. You're seeing past it. You're seeing past the veil, and you're realizing that the whole universe, that central point to creation, is right behind your eyes. And the fact that you're thinking it's outside of you is the marvelous trick, because it's right behind your eyes. And that's why you've looked everywhere outside yourself for it and never found it, because it's inside the whole time. It's with you the whole time. And that's why in Alice in Wonderland it's genius, because she says if I had my own world, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is because everything would be what it isn't. And on the contrary wise, what isn't is what it would be, and what it would be is what it wouldn't be. And some people would say that doesn't make any sense at all, but it makes so much sense, it's genius. If you put that together, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about here. Everything we think we are, we aren't. And that's the grand illusion, that's the grand scheme. And as I said, in today's society, and today, I will be called crazy by the mass of people who listen to me, to hear me. Anyone who hears my name, I'll be labeled as crazy to the majority of people. But I guarantee if you give me 5 years, 10 years, when these type of topics begin to blow up, they will look back at these type of things and say, wow, this was being talked about long ago. And it's always the ones who are made crazy, who are shamed, who are ridiculed, who are insane at the time, that are the ones who are a slight bit ahead. And they're the ones screaming, look over here, look over here, look over here. And they don't get the acknowledgement until they're passed on, until they can no longer speak. So I'm just trying to make it my mission to say everything that I possibly can to allow somebody. I'm looking at as, when I give these type of videos, I try and cover everything to where I look at it as if this is my last video and I can't speak tomorrow, I need to leave behind enough to where people can put this stuff together to where they have the understanding I have. Because if I can no longer speak and voice it, then it's gone. And it's the same with Tesla and these great minds. If they would have just written books, if they would have just written a lot of their notes, it wouldn't have been lost. But a lot of it is gone, and that's such a shame. It's a shame. But I feel like the electrical engineering and all those great minds were leading up to the electric universe. We're leading up to the hollow universe. And like I said, all the technology that they've built back this claim up. But none of them have come out to say that the universe is inside out. And that's why I feel this will be a huge ground-shaking topic when it does come out, when it does finally break, because a lot of people hear about Hollow Earth, but nobody is breaking it down. Me and my good friend Gemini, we've got a group on my Facebook page, me and Gemini, we've got a good group, Concave Earth, the Electric Universe, and the Wheelwork. The wheelwork motion, because again, the wheelwork is fundamental to the matrix. This is the order of the black wheel matrix, and as you see, there's a clock, there's the zodiac shapes, and there's the Metatron in the background. I don't know if you can see it, but in purple. Metatron's cube, I mean, there's everything that fits in here. Because this is the structure to reality, to our universe. This is the fundamental shape of our universe. It's a wheel. And it's all guided behind this wheel, or this central point. This is what's influencing and necessitating all things around it. That's why it's all clockwork motion. And so this is what I say, everything is now. The BC and the AD were just illusions. The past and the future, as I said, we're in AD now, time is running up. You see, the past time ran backwards. It went from high numbers to low numbers, and then it met at the central point, and then it started running back up again. But my point is this is all metaphor, because time does not work on a linear scale like this, as I've said many times. Everything is this projected central self, this central point. Everything is now. There is no time, and this is what I mean, because it's all a projection. You can't put time on a video game because a video game is a projection. It's a hologram. It's an illusion. It's not real. And that's all this is a marvelous video game. If you want to look at it like that to understand time better, then so be it. But that's all this is a projection from this central point. You can look at this central point just as you would a projector. A projector starts narrow and it shoots out to shoot a picture onto a screen or onto something. And that's all we're doing. This central point right here is what's behind our eyes, and it's what projecting out of these two eyes, which is duality, projecting out of these two eyes to project the universe in front of us. It's all a projection. It's a hologram. And so there is no time. It's just a projection from the center, from micro to macro. The two are a playing of the one. You need the macro just as the macro needs you.
was just something I have to live with. Not anymore.
But basically, back on the Matrix subjects. Back on the Matrix topics. I see so many people trying to fight this fact that there is evil presences in the government. There's evil presences in the world. There's evil agendas in the world. There's evil families and agendas and all type of orders and all type of things. Okay, let's just say this. I want people who really hear me here to acknowledge this, because this is fundamental. This is the biggest part of the video that I'm going to say right here. The evil and the bad, that yin to the yang, will always exist. Because as I said, the duality always exists. The two are always going to be a plane. So as long as you work yourself up, you stress yourself out, and you try and escape or beat this game or get rid of the evil or get rid of, right? You're fighting against it. You're fighting against your own self. And this is what my reference was to the Matrix movies. By Neo fighting Mr. Smith, he was realizing he was fighting himself, because he was Mr. Smith. He was the good principal and the bad principal. And Mr. Smith was nothing more than a metaphoric character in his Matrix, in his universe. And so at the end, he allows him to take his body over, Neo. He allows Mr. Smith to take his body over because he is accepting the bad principle. He is accepting that he is the Matrix. So by you acknowledging that there is evil presences out there in the universe is one thing, but to take on those role of evil presences and feel like you have to save the universe and feel you have to do something extraordinary outside yourself or expose them or get the whole world to wake up and realize that, hey, these are the bad people, you're going to make yourself insane. You're going to stir up chaos for yourself. You're going to stress yourself. You're going to feel miserable. You're going to feel like, oh, well, no one gets it. No one's hearing me. No one's this. No one's that. And you're not realizing that you are the universe. You are the entirety. So you are everyone that chooses to not look into it. You're everyone who's choosing to remain asleep, if you will. You're everyone who's in the process of waking up. You're everyone who's like me, trying to awaken the people or trying to help teach the people. But again, I'm nothing more than teaching and helping others who are myself. I'm reflections of myself. Because I'm not the body. I'm the central point that's behind your eyes, just that's in mine. We're all one. So the central point that's behind my eyes, that's trying to understand what this is, what creation is the same central point behind your eyes, asking the same questions of why we exist and who we are. And through each other, we're helping each other find understandings and deeper understandings of what we are, of what we are as one. And the more we can connect these dots, the more we'll see that it all leads back to one, to singularity. And we shouldn't fight against each other. We shouldn't compare against each other. We shouldn't compete against each other. We shouldn't be tearing each other down. We're getting lost in the materials, and so we're feeling as if we're not good enough, and we're feeling as if we have to compete, and as if we're in a defense mode almost in society. Because again, it's what we're programmed to feel by materials, by this ego, by this mask we wear. If someone you know is always seen in nice clothes, and then they show up one day in these raggedy clothes, do you think everyone that they liked would treat them the same? Or maybe look at them the same? So we've got to acknowledge the people in the nicest clothes and the people in the nicest of things. You look at them and you have to realize they're putting on a mask. It's an ego. You give them 10 minutes alone with a guru behind closed doors, and that guru would strip those, not literally, okay, but that guru would strip those nice clothes and those price tags right off of them. Not literally, but I'm saying it would remove the ego, because he would get to the bottom of it and make him realize you don't even know who you are. Underneath all these nice price tags, you have no idea who you are. This is a front. This is a mask. This is a character that you're dressing up as to put on for the people. And if there were no people for you to be seen by, why, the character would be pointless. It's the same with a show, a live show. The actors wouldn't be acting on the stage if there were no people in the audience to watch them. It's fun to be watched. We want to be seen. We want to be acknowledged. But the thing is to not be consumed by it, to not allow materials to become the happiness, to not allow the materials to become your source of peace or happiness, to allow anything in that matter to be a source of happiness or anything. And this will bring me to another subject. Don't rush things that you're wanting to obtain. Let's say you're saving for a new car, or you're going to the gym every day to get a certain image that you want. Or it doesn't matter what it is. You're trying to build, let's say, a tree house or a house or whatever the hell, okay? Some people get frustrated along the way of their goals and rush them, or start not giving up, but saying they make it bad for themselves. They make it frustrating for themselves, not enjoyable. And what we don't realize is that the goal that we have in place is what's keeping us going every day. As long as you have a goal, you have something to work toward and feel good about. But it's the people who get everything that they've ever wanted that don't know what they want anymore because they don't have any goals. They don't have anything to obtain. So the questions that we have that we can't answer and stuff, my point is to embrace them. Don't allow them to drive you mad. Don't allow them to make you frustrated or make you feel depressed or insane or angry. Embrace them. Embrace the unknown and just say that you may not know today, but it will come to you when you're ready. You don't rush the things that you want the most, because what happens to the person who gets everything they wanted the most? They become the most sad after they get them, because once you get everything you've ever wanted, you get the sense of, now what? Now what do I do? The path on the road there, the journey is what is the whole point behind it, is my point. You going to the gym every day and walking those miles to get this image, that the whole point is in the journey. You're going every day to achieve something. If you already achieved it, would you still go as persistently? If you already had what you wanted, would you still go? Would you be as hungry? It's the path there along the way of anything we're pursuing that we should be making fun and embracing and realizing that it's what we're trying to get that is the whole point behind it. And so we shouldn't rush it, and we also shouldn't feel like once we get this, everything is going to just magically fall into place and fix all the problems. Don't let anything become your happiness, because then it can be taken, then it's exchangeable. And again, you're making materials your happiness, you're making places outside of yourself your happiness. And that's where you will fall in depression, you will fall into things, because everything outside of you is in deterioration, is in rotting, is in death. Things are meant to be broken. Things of the finite are meant to be broken. And so if materials are your happiness, they're going to break, they're going to rot, they're going to die. And it's how much you attach to them that will control your happiness. But as I'm saying, happiness is not a place, it's not a material, it's not anything but a feeling inside of yourself. And as long as you're content with that inside of yourself, you can be happy and not have your happiness taken from you. And again, I'm not saying that people aren't going to get lost in the human emotion and feel sadness or, cry when they lose someone they love. I'm not at all saying that, but I'm just saying to not be consumed by the bad. And to not allow your happiness to be exchangeable, to be taken away from you, to have the illusion that your happiness is a place or a goal that you have to reach, or a new car that you have to get. Because as I said, once you have these things, you realize it's not that great. It's not what you wanted. And this is why I love Jim Carrey for this. Because Jim Carrey says he wishes everybody in the world could get anything and everything they ever wanted. Because it's in those moments they would see that nothing that they got was actually what they wanted. It's all an illusion in your head that you superficially are creating. You only superficially are thinking about what you want in the moments. Like to sit in a room all day for the next 100 years, or let's say eternity even, playing one video game every single day would be madness, insane. Sure, it may be fun and it may sound fun for the first hour, for the first day, for the first week, right? It may sound fun, that's great. But again, superficially, you'll find that anything that you obtain, anything at all, the new car, the new muscles, the new anything that you want, once you obtain them, you say, now what? Because you're seeing it's not what you wanted. So my point behind that is just enjoy the ride, enjoy it all, embrace the good, embrace the bad, and enjoy it. Enjoy the ride, enjoy the pursuit of what you're pursuing. Enjoy it. Don't let it drive you mad. Don't let it frustrate you. You enjoy it. You embrace every emotion that comes with it, but you don't let them consume you. And as I said in my last live, because someone asked me, they said, oh, well, you're pretty sick if you think you should embrace child molesters and all these people. And I said, well, wait a minute. When I say to embrace duality, which is the good and the bad, that means to be like water, to go with the flow, to allow no impact. I'm not saying you embrace them with fucking friendship and you give them a hug and say, good job. Embrace it, meaning in your mind, allow no impact. To be like water, to go with the flow, to be formless. Meaning whatever comes your way, the good or the bad, however it may be, you embrace with being like water, going with the flow. Not fighting against, right? You don't fight against the current, you go with it. Water, formless. You can adapt to anything because you're being like water. You're not fighting the matrix, the universe, you're going with it. And that's what I'm saying. By being under the illusion that you have to do something, that you have to awaken the masses of people, or you have to share something or do anything outside yourself, is the grand illusion of things. And it shows you're not understanding your true role in the universe. You're trying to awaken people to this matrix, but you are the entire matrix. So as long as you're trying to awaken anybody, and even me, this is why I don't tag people, I don't ask people for money, I don't do anything like that. I don't try and put myself out there any more than I already do. I have my YouTube and my Facebook, and that's really all I need. I have an Instagram that I barely use, but I mean, when I'm on Facebook jail, that's it. But I don't promote myself in this way because I'm not trying to stress to get out. I'm not trying to stress myself. I've progressed in a way, yes, because in my older videos, it was the exact opposite. I've stressed myself quite a bit over this. So yes, I'm sure some people have seen my growth, but my point is by you stressing that you have to awaken all these people, you're not aware that you are all these people that you're talking to. And so why I do this is I'm offering this for people who are slowly awakening and are aware, and they need a source of someone who's not asking for anything, an unbiased truth person. Someone who doesn't want money or anything, but just wants truth for the people. People who need stepping stones, and that's all I am, is a stepping stone. That's all I am. A stepping stone that should lead you back to yourself, should lead you to your answer. That's all anybody is outside yourself. They're stepping stones to yourself. That's all we are. Any teacher at all should be guiding you to yourself. If they're asking you for money or have you constantly returning, it is a business. They're not looking out for your best interest. If they need you to return, and especially pay money, they're using you. They're not leading you to anything. A good teacher will tell you they're a stepping stone. They don't need you to come back. The point is to find the light within yourself, to realize you're it. And so this is my point. You don't have to stress yourself by awakening anybody, by getting yourself out there and heard and awakening the masses to the evil governments and all this crap, because what you're not realizing is by you being the entire universe, you're the evil government, you're every family that's enslaving the universe, Because remember, you're the good principle and the bad principle. You're the yin and the yang. You're the hot and the cold, the above and below. You're the life and death, the creation and destruction principle. You're everything behind the matrix. So you are the Rothschilds enslaving the universe. You are, so the very being of you right now asking, why are the Rothschilds enslaving the universe? This isn't fair and all this stuff. And another side of you, because this is the good side of you, let's say, good side of you, the yin, the yang is saying, why did Thanos in Avengers, why did he do what he did? Why did Thanos do what he did in Avengers? Because he felt that population control was justified, was good. And this is my point. Good and bad is a matter of perceptions, literally. Thanos legit thought, and this is the government's view, they legit think that population control is a good thing. They do. If we eliminate half this country's population that's starving, then that cuts down on half the people that need to eat there. And so once half of that country is gone, those people will be able to eat constantly, overflowing with food because there's less people. And so in their sick mind, that's good. That's good. That's legit good for them. And that's why I say good is a matter of perception. So is bad. But what you don't realize is you are both principles. You're the good principle, you're the bad principle. So as you're asking, well, why are people doing this? Your other side of you is saying, well, this is why. It is you. You're both of them. And you can't understand it. Another thing. Here's another thing. Why do people look up serial killer interviews and other interviews of sick people? Why? Because people want to study a sick mind and realize what made them get to this point? What led them into this thought process? What is making them think this is good or this is justifiable? It's the same thing. Why are people trying to study serial killers? Well, it's the same thing. We want to understand why some people view bad things as good or as normal. It's the same thing. It's a matter of perceptions. And again, I'm not saying that to embrace bad things, because we of course know what's good and bad. We know, I'm not trying to confuse people on that, but my point is to be like water, to go with the flow and allow no impact into your own personal universe, into your own kingdom within. What's going on outside of you will always be the good and the bad, the genocide, the suffering, but there will also be the good with that. You have no control over these things. That's all my point is. So when I say to go with the flow, that means within your own kingdom, your own universe, within yourself, you be content with who you are, with what you can control. Literally. You will drive yourself mad trying to control things you can't. You will. And so that's my point. By you stressing that you have to awaken the masses, you're taking on a role which you don't need to take on. You're creating a mission for yourself that has no meaning. It has no meaning at all because none of this is real. And this is why Alice in Wonderland, we're all fucking mad here. We are all mad here because when people start talking like me, we sound insane. But it's true, none of this is real. Again, you could flip anything in duality and it would still work the same way. Life and death, birth and death, or whatever, good and bad, hot and cold, they're just definitions. So you could flip it either way and it would still work. So what's real and what's fake? What's death and what's birth? They're definitions. And by us giving things definitions, we think we understand. And the truth is we don't. We have no idea. And the truth is stranger than fiction. That's the most true quote you can ever, the most true and simple quote you will ever find. Because it's a fact. The truth is stranger than fiction means that no matter how many books, no matter how many movies, no matter how many games, no matter how many technological advances we have in science or anything, we'll never be able to create or illustrate a truth more strange, or a fiction more strange than truth. will never be able to animate or depict or draw or say or express anything more stranger than the truth itself, because the truth itself is that none of this is real. It's a dream. And we're taught that when we close our eyes, we're dreaming. And again, people who start sounding like I do right now sound crazy, but people in the future will be saying the same things I'm saying right now, and I promise you this right here. When we open our eyes, we are coming alive into the dream. When you close your eyes, you're not dreaming. It's the opposite. When you open your eyes, what's coming alive in front of you is Wonderland. Let's say we were born into this reality, because nobody thinks of this stuff. But why do trees have to be green? We're born into this reality not realizing, or we understand, we think, well, this is the only way it works. This is the only way it can be, right? And I'm going to try and word this in a way where some people can understand, because I have a good understanding of this in my head. But our idea of normal is for trees to be green. We're born with the sky being blue and trees being green, and this is normal. So this doesn't become like a magical fantasy land. But in Wonderland, if the sky was blue, or the sky was like green, let's say, right? And the trees were freaking red, but you were born into that would be normal. So it wouldn't be viewed as a magical place to you. It would just be normal. It's just accepted as normal because that's all you've ever known. But if we woke up tomorrow and the trees were red, we would be flipped out. We'd be like, what the fuck? What the hell? But what we're not realizing is everything that's in front of us is Wonderland. And just because you're born knowing this reality doesn't make it any less magic. Just because we're born knowing, okay, the trees are green and the sky is blue and all this doesn't make it less magic. I hope some people are getting my point on this. I hope some people are making the connection with this. If we were born tomorrow with the sky being red, that would be considered normal to us, and it wouldn't be viewed as magic or wouldn't be viewed as anything because that's normal, right? But to us now, that's crazy. A red sky. So my point is for anything to exist at all is the dream. To dream is the only way to exist. And most people, this is something I put together. I was listening to a song. It was a rock song, and the guy was saying he didn't want to live in a dream anymore. And so I started thinking to myself in my head as I'm working, and I'm like, I was like, I said that to myself before. I don't want to live in a dream anymore. I want to wake up. And then I started to realize to myself, but wait a minute, to dream is the only way to actually be alive, because why are we existing at all? Why are we even here? Why are we even able to open our eyes? Why are we even able to be aware that we're aware? Right? Why? It would be easier for us to not exist at all, to just be nothing, non-aware, that we're here, that we're in existence, that we're energy. But we do. We're aware. And so you realize this isn't real. This is the dream. When you open your eyes, you are witnessing Wonderland come to life. And so my reference to the red sky is we were born automatically knowing a blue sky. And so to me, just as absurd as the red sky sounds, so does the blue sky. Why does the sky have to be blue? It's crazy. When you study things in this aspect, it makes everything magic because you're realizing everything is the divine, everything is magic. Wonderland is everything around you right now. It's so strange that anything has to exist at all. And it's even stranger when you find out that 5 human senses is the only absolute way that we know of to experience energy. I would love and I would give someone all the time in the world to let you think of another sense other than the 5 human senses that would let someone take in energy. Because what you'd find is you would be stumped. You have no answer. There is no other way, as far as we know, to take in energy, formless energy, other than human senses. And those senses are what's allowing us to call this reality, real. But what we're not realizing, because again, we've given this a negligent, definite term of real, is that everything we're touching and experiencing is this dream. Let's say we were nothing before this body right here, right? For us to come to life and even be alive here and experiencing this is a dream. Before this, you knew nothing at all. You didn't know anything. You knew nothing. You have no recollection of anything before this body. And so you're here now saying, well, wow, it's strange that I even exist at all. Why am I even here? And this is the great pursuit of self-discovery, to find that you are the universe. You are the fundamental playing of the universe. See, our human body is the yin to the yang principle, which is the universe. The universe is the macrocosm, which is the yin or the yang, doesn't matter which. And then the human body, the human organism, is the other microcosmic piece to the macro. The two are one, and they fit together like a puzzle piece. So just as Alan Watts says, the same constant flowing energy that's behind pumping your blood is the same constant flowing of energy behind the universe. It's what's rotating the stars, and it's constant. It's constant in you as it's constant in the universe. And what we don't realize is that constant flowing is one. We feel separate because we feel like we're down here and this is up there, but what we don't realize is we're down here to experience what's up there, to experience the energy, to experience our greater self, and our greater self is nothing other than energy. That's it. And so a lot of us want to beat reincarnation. We want to stop being reincarnated into forms because we feel like, well, this is a trap, and this is a big game, and this is just a big trick, and this is a prison, and we're stuck here, and this is horrible. Well, again, as I just covered, happiness is a state of mind. So what do you think hell is? Why do you think these people feel they're in a prison? Why do you think these people feel they need to escape this flesh or this body? Why do you think these people need to feel like they must beat reincarnation? I'll give you a few reasons. Well, one, they're not acknowledging or even close to realizing they are the universe. They are the works behind creation and destruction. They are the entirety. There is nothing you can beat. You see? Because behind your eyes sits the central point, and behind that central point sits a central point, and behind that central point sits a central point, and need I go on? It's a spiral, and it keeps going down and down and down and down and down. And this is why I say suicide is not the answer. And I've been shown this on DMT. That's where I speak of this from. DMT is what showed me this. But suicide is not an escape. My first time taking DMT, I contemplated suicide. It crossed my mind for a split second because I was in that trip and I started panicking. And I said, oh my God, I need to kill myself. This is horrible. I need to escape it. And it was telling me there is no escape. Suicide is not the escape, because behind the central point is an infinite central point that just keeps going because all is one. And that one point is what every single fractal pattern in the universe is about. So the Fibonacci spiral going down into a point is about 1. Phi equals 1 as 1 equals phi. Tesla's magnificence of the 3, 6, 9 numbers, the 3, 6, and 9 are the only 3 numbers out of 1 through 9 that will make a fractal pattern, meaning a fractal pattern that will repeat itself to infinity. And again, there's a million different videos on Tesla's 369 stuff, and I get there's so many videos about how if you break down a circle it always equals 9 and all this stuff, but none of them cover in a simple way, because it's not all this definitions and stuff in this long videos. If someone can't explain to you the definition behind what Tesla meant behind 3, 6, and 9 within a 1-minute video, they're overcomplicating the entire thing, because it's not meant to be all that. All he meant behind knowing the significance of the 3, 6, and 9 is understanding fractal patterns. And what he found was the 3, 6, and 9 are the only 3 numbers from 1 through 9 that will create fractal patterns to infinity, meaning they never end. So it's not just the number 9. 9 is the only number that will multiply and equal itself by 9, and everything does we equal 9. The breakdown of a circle in any way equals 9, and I acknowledge that. So 9 is a supreme number. But 3, 6, and 9 together are the fractal patterns that are bonding everything. Everything is a fractal. This is a fractal universe. And so I see a lot of people drawing, and much credit to them, but drawing a bunch of different patterns and stuff using the 369 code. And all I say to them is there's a fractal pattern means it's infinite, meaning you can do an infinite, unlimited amount of designs, of colors, of shapes with those three numbers, with 3, 6, and 9. So with the 3, 6, and 9, you can make an infinite amount of patterns, of spirals, of anything. The pattern can look anything, but it's always going to repeat itself. So it can be a square, it can be a circle, it can be anything, but it's always going to repeat itself, that pattern. And that's all the 369 means. All the other videos I see online are, to me, overcomplicated explanations of it, and none of them use the word fractal patterns. That is the whole meaning behind 369, is it's a fractal pattern. I don't see any videos on YouTube breaking that down and just simply saying that's all it is. It's a fractal pattern. 369 is no different than phi. Phi is just it's a different expression of infinity, or 1. Because phi equals 1 is 1 equals phi. 369 is 1, 2, because it's a fractal pattern. It leads back to singularity. So this is duality right here. These are two pillars. I've shown this before, but these are the two pillars of Freemasonry. And those are, again, the two eyes right there, and then my two eyes, you see? And then again, there's the central point that the Freemasons acknowledge, which sits right behind your eyes. And you notice they put lines illuminating out, because that central point is it's a hologram. It's a holograph. That's what I tell people. It's a holographic universe. That's what I tell people. So the central point is projecting your entire reality through the two pillars, through your two eyes. So everything that you're experiencing is a projection from this central point. And that's why it looks like it's illuminating out, like a sun. Because it's projecting out, and it's illuminating the universe that you're experiencing. And this central point is what's creating duality. That's why the brain is also split into two hemispheres. Two hemispheres, the two pillars, and the two eyes. But everything is opposites, basically. Anything in duality is the exact opposites. Anything in duality are polar opposites, exact opposite. So you can apply the same principle with your brain. Your brain is split into two sides, two hemispheres. This side's strictly science and what you can prove, and this side's the exact opposite. Again, this is mystical fantasy and imaginary things that you can't prove, and this is things, numbers, science, strictly things you can prove. And most people are only dominant in one side. So what you'll find is most diehard scientists and some of the most great scientists of all time, they believe in atheism. They don't believe in a God because they're dominant on the what I can prove side. And that was what I was on before I did DMT, basically. And what DMT showed me is it connected this whole side of my brain, which was my imaginary side, with my logical side. And it was allowing me to see the two as one. And I was able to see that to find the answer of one, of the central point within yourself, the God, whatever you're looking for, it takes the balancing of both hemispheres. You need the imaginative side matched with your scientific type of side to get the answer. When you're dominant on either side, you will never be led into the singularity of one. You will be led strictly into the more imaginative side of things, which is the mystical, God in the sky, or angels and all this type of stuff, which is the imaginative side, the faith, or you'll need facts. You see? And the two are quite contrary. So these people think they're crazy, these people think they're crazy, and vice versa. But some people want the faith, some people want the facts. But the people who want the facts, which, as I said, the diehard scientists, are the ones who are led into atheism. Because scientists, as magnificent as they are, never think one time to look within their own self. And that's their greatest flaw. Scientists are led into atheism because they have studied the entire fabric of the universe outside of themselves. They've studied every single little function of the universe and have not once ever looked into themselves. And so when you do that, when you study every single topic, every book, every aspect outside of yourself, you will be led into atheism. You will be led into believing there is no God, there is no creator, no being, no energy, no anything. We die and we go nowhere, and that's it. You will. Because again, you're not looking in the one place behind your own two eyes. And that's exactly what the Hindus say. If God were to hide, he would pick man to hide in, because it's the last place you would think to look. We have a rigged common sense system that's tricking ourselves into thinking we actually know who we are beyond a doubt. And as Jim Carrey says, what Jim Carrey found was he started asking questions to himself like, what separated Jim Carrey, his real name, from any of the character roles that he played in movies? What were different from them? Because even Jim Carrey is a mask that he wears when he goes out into the spotlight and people acknowledge him as Jim Carrey. He's known as Jim Carrey. But even the Jim Carrey that we see in public is a mask. And even he acknowledged that. And he said there was no separation from the mask he wore and the mask he wore in his movies. And that's the simplest way you can make the connection, is you're realizing there is no differentiation between the mask you wear and the masks you're watching on TV. In fact, once you become aware of that, it makes more sense, because you are now realizing, why do I watch TV? I watch TV to get lost in the characters' roles, to take on their situations and their scenarios and their problems that aren't even mine, but I take them on as if they're mine. And when Judy goes missing in my movie series, I get on the edge of my seat and I say, oh my God, we need to find Judy and we need to get her back. And you become immersed into that role. You start getting into it and you're like, oh my God, we got to find Judy. We got to do this. Or, you get into that characteristic role. And it's no different than the mask you wear. You put on the mask for society, you get lost in it, and eventually you're on the edge of your seat. You're getting so pissed and you're getting sad and you're getting this and you're getting that, and you're forgetting this is just a role. You're like this, and you're constantly on like this on edge, when you should just be sitting back and relaxing. And realizing that everything you're doing, everything that you're portraying is nothing other than a role. Even me speaking with my videos, I'm speaking through an ego. My ego is Tyler. People want to search my videos or my name, they have to search Tyler. Tyler is my mask. Tyler is my ego. We all have an ego. It's simply the mask that we're wearing, but the ego is our understanding, or our idea that we are just the body, that we are the mask that we're hiding behind. And that is what the ego is. It is the mask. It is the joker that is tricking you inside your mind, which is your rigged common sense system that's tricking you into thinking you're just the body, which is the victim. When you're just the body, you're the victim in the universe. And as I say, when you get a flat tire or things get bad for you, or you whatever the case may be, you look up at the sky first thing and you're looking outside of yourself and you're saying, well, this isn't fair. God doesn't love me, and this, give me a break. This is crap, or I need more money, or you're just whatever. You're venting your frustrations to something outside of yourself. And this is where some people feel, okay, God's not there. God doesn't care. God doesn't fucking do anything for me. And then people start getting frustrated and mad at God, at their understanding of God, at the universe. And so they lash out at the universe, and you're not realizing it's you. It's within yourself. And God can always hear you. As they say, when you talk, God is always with you, because it's within. And even the Bible states that the kingdom of heaven is within. The kingdom is within. It's all within you. In fact, there's so many metaphoric quotes in the Bible stating that we are in fact God and it's inside of us, that I don't get how more people don't see exactly what it's saying. God's name was I am that I am. When you say that to yourself, you're saying I am. I am. So people will say that and still unconsciously be unaware of what they're saying. So God's name is I am. Nobody else in the world can say I am for you but I. I can't say I for you, because if I say you, I'm saying you. You, not I. If I want to refer to you, I can't say I and point to you. I. No. I and you. Nobody can say I for you. You are the I am. I am the I am. We all are I. We are all one. Singularity. It's inevitable. Singularity is inevitable, and the more you fight it, the more you try and escape it, the more you try and beat it, the more you try and feel you have to take on a mission and awaken the masses and expose and do all these things, you're not realizing. You're not realizing your role in the universe. You're not realizing the dual functions of the universe and the fact that there will always be good and bad. And even more importantly, you are the good and the bad. So just as you're asking about the Rothschilds and all these other people, you're not realizing you are the Rothschilds. It's that simple. You're everything. This is why some people don't like this idea. Some people don't like the idea of God being good and bad, one principle. The devil being God and God being the devil, because the two are one. Some people don't like this because some people want to think God is just the good. But that is to say that the room I'm in just has a floor and no ceiling and no up, or just a ceiling and no floor. Vice versa. You have to have an above and below. You have to have two to create. So it'll never work with just good. You need the two. The two are a part of the one, and that's the only way creation works. So by fighting the bad, you're fighting yourself. As I say, you embrace duality, and that is to be like water. You go with the flow. And I guess I should have explained that more in my last video, because I've gotten a few messages with people messaging me some nasty stuff saying I'm embracing child molesters and embracing prison people and all this crap. But I understand there's always going to be hateful people, so that's whatever. Because I know my message. But there's so many, it's crazy how people can miss the message behind things. But when I say to embrace good and bad, it means to allow no impact into your own mente, your own mind, your own universe, because the whole universe sits behind your very eyes. This is the kingdom within, right here. And when I say to allow no impact, that means you're consciously aware of what's impacting you to feel inside your mind, in your kingdom. Because remember, heaven or hell is now. There's nothing waiting for you outside when you die. You don't have to die to experience heaven. That's the illusion. You're not gonna have to wait to experience the greatness or the badness. It's now. And you make it. So to allow no impact means to go with the flow, to be like water, and to be consciously aware of what you're allowing to enter into your mind, to allow you to feel, because once it enters the mind, it's natural. Your ego is going to feel emotion. The only difference is some are consciously aware of what they're feeling, and some are unconsciously aware that they are feeling it. But they're behind what they feel. So it's easy to get consumed by our feelings and feel like things aren't fair, or to get lost in our anger or sadness. But we mustn't dwell in them. That's the biggest thing. We must not dwell. And there is no escape to this matrix. I don't think I'll ever be able to say this enough to an audience. As long as I've seen on my Facebook, there's always people trying to escape reincarnation, trying to escape this game and escape this and escape that. And it's like, why do you need an escape? What are you trying to escape from? Any misery, any suffering you're facing is within your own self, within your own mind. You're creating it. You are the creator. So what you're trying to escape is your own mind. And why are you trying to escape your own mind? Even Alan Watts has said, like, you hear the story about the guy who wanted his mind pacified. Well, the guy came to the guru and he said, well, can you pacify my mind? He said, well, bring out your mind before me and I'll pacify it for you. And he said, well, when I look for it, I can't find it. And he says, well, there, it's pacified. Because it isn't there. It's an illusion. And you're only creating it. All your fears, all your anxieties, you're creating them. They're not real. They have no meaning. They have no substance. They're not real. And I'm going to end this video, but as I said, people like me will be called crazy today and maybe listened to like Tesla later on. But I'm fully aware that nobody is going to take what I'm saying serious as of right now. But I already know maybe 10 years from now, there's going to be famous people saying exactly what I'm saying right now. And I embrace it. I embrace it. because I'm so ready for people to get back on track and find the source. Because that's the biggest thing with space, infinite space, is there is no source to our creation. We were shot out of somewhere, but there is no source to that somewhere. And they always say everything has to be somewhere, but does somewhere have to be everything? Or is somewhere everything? Everything has to be somewhere, right? But is somewhere everything? Isn't somewhere everything? I think so. Again, because it's all a projection. It's an illusion. It never was. Anything you created in your mind is just an illusion. Never was. That's the marvelous trick behind it. It never was. The good and the bad. Enjoy it. Don't take it so serious. But to people who have watched this, I hope people have a better understanding of the Matrix. Feel free to comment your views on the Matrix. If you have any differential perceptions of the Matrix, or if you had a different take on the Matrix movies, I wouldn't mind hearing anyone else's. Or I'm open to hear. Because like I said, I know there's going to be, you could have millions of people watch something and everyone's going to have a different perception or going to take a different message. Everyone's going to think it has a different meaning. And the truth is there is no one person that's right. All of us are perceptions. Perceptions is not right. It's a matter of a view. And that's my point. So we shouldn't be worrying about whose perception's right or whose view is right. It's a perception. It's an illusion. And it'll always be different to someone else. Because remember, the universe sits behind our eyes. We're all our own universe. We're all the universe. We'll never all be in sync as one function, as one thing, acting as one. And that's what makes this not so scary. Because I've said before, if we're all one, why aren't we all talking in sync and saying the same things and acting as one and being one thing? That would be scary, though. If we all talked at the same time and said the same thing and the same thing I'm thinking and they're thinking at once because we're all one, that'd be insane. Madness. But the fact that we're not, we're all individuals, is the illusion, is what makes it so fun, is what makes the idea of individualism so great. It's just a matter of not allowing yourself to get lost in that individualism, which is the ego. Because the ego seeks to separate. The spirit inside the soul wants to be led back into one. And that's why so many of us are soul searching. We're seeking something because we need some guidance. We need some spiritual guidance because the spirit inside of us wants to be led back to one, back to singularity. We want to be led back into source, but the ego wants the opposite. The ego does not want singularity. The ego is trying to forget singularity. The ego is trying to forget that all is one. So the ego creates individuals, perceptions, different views, different people. And that's why I said the two need each other. The two are playing. Because the ego is trying to separate from the one because it doesn't want to remember that it is one. It wants to forget that it's one. So it's getting lost and far out and playing with itself. And then the spirit wants to be led back into one because it's done playing the game. It doesn't want to play the game. It wants to be led back into source and find God or the one. It wants to find its home. Whatever you want to call it. If that makes sense. It wants to return back to the source. Alright, but again, I'm going to end this video. I hope it was useful. I know this got way off topic from the Matrix video and the title that I gave it, so I apologize for that. A lot of people tell me my videos are scattered and I'm all over the place, and I greatly do apologize for that, but my brain is just, unfortunately, I hate this about myself, but my brain just freaking moves in a million different ways, so I can go from this topic to this topic to this topic to this topic, and meanwhile my topic title was about this topic over here. So I apologize about that. I'm not very good at being organized in my videos and being structured in one topic. I acknowledge it though. I'm aware of it, but it's something I can't really help. So I apologize, but thanks for everybody who did watch. I get out of Facebook jail on January 5th, so I'm not going to be able to post for Christmas or New Year, whatever. So to people who watch my Facebook lives and help me on my Facebook and who are posting for me and stuff, thank you. And thanks for everyone's support and watching. But yeah, I'll see you guys on January 5th. I'll be back from Facebook jail. And hopefully I don't get put back in there. But I hope everybody has a good Christmas, a good holiday, Happy New Year. And hope everyone just takes time to watch this video and fully listen. And like I said, feel free to comment your ideas or perceptions.